guys. We are getting ready to go on. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Did I just literally mess up?
I have a message that says this meeting is
Here
now
we go.
streaming live.
I just pressed and got it also. Got it.
Yay! All right, you guys, we're doing another YouTube. So I am going to introduce, we have Rae here today, this lovely lady here, and then we have again, and I'm going to do both names again, Grace. So we have two segments on again, and Rae, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rae. I've been in Sedona a good 15 years. I've been doing a spiritual path going on 30.
Nice.
I do emotional work with people. I do sound activations, clearings, healings. And that's it.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
It's all about raising the vibration for the entire planet. And all
Yes,
the beautiful beings that are on it.
awesome.
And thank you for having me today.
Oh, this is the powerhouse right here. If anybody wanted to know, because this is the powerhouse, and I'm grateful to be with you ladies, and you as well, Miss Gracie.
Well, hello. I think it is the powerhouse. I look at the two of you looking so beautiful. As you can see, I have not done my makeup or my hair. So I'm just here to join you both in that spirit of compassion, mercy, and kindness that we're putting out there into the world with real clear intent. Before we started this Zoom meeting, we had talked quite a lot about bringing peace to others.
Yes.
And by doing that, by sharing maybe a different perspective than what you've ever heard before, maybe a fresh vantage point that can bring stillness to your heart and bring peace to your mind. And so thank you for the opportunity for us to do the work that each of us is meant to do as God talks through us and works through us. My background is I came into this life wide open. I'm 46 years old. And I have been doing my best to be of service to others in a lot of capacities over the years. But the energy dynamics and the energy medicine has been a part of my reality for 25 years. And everything that I've come to learn and understand about people and about healing work has all come through meditation. So I don't like to read. So everything I've gotten in meditation, that time that I'm taking to listen to God, to listen to the angels. And I am delighted to meet like-minded people and share an opportunity to converse about current subjects of the day, things that people need to talk about.
Love it, love it. All right, cool. I'll introduce myself. I have not been in this field that long, but it came in my late 40s to very early 50s, and I just started to discover the metaphysical world and readings and all of these things. Mine's a little bit shorter, but I'm learning, and I'm grateful to be around these ladies because I learned so much. But we will get on to this, and today we were looking at the subject of past loved ones, from our perspective, or as well as giving information or healing information to others that want to know about past loved ones, and what that experience is for all of us. We also talked about suicide trauma, and that could be one of the things we'll touch on, as well as maybe passing of children and also animals. So this is all on that other side of the realm of our past loved ones and our experiences. So who would like to start?
I'm looking at the ray of light.
You are on, Rae. What if maybe we can even talk about what have been some of the most profound things you've seen, or when you started seeing past loved ones, things like that, and like what that experience is. Because we did, you're me and I keep wanting to call you still. Okay, so we were talking about um the suicide trauma as well. But let's just see. What do you how are you what's your experiences, Ray, with past loved ones? And what do you think about their journey, how it goes? Because it's all different for us how we see individual journeys, but what seems to kind of stick with you?
Are we talking about suicide? Or are we talking about regular people
Let's just
crossing?
either way. Well, you can talk about people crossing. Let's start with that.
My experience with people crossing is that everyone has choice points in their life to continue their life or to go ahead and exit. It depends on whether they're awake and aware, or if they're just done. They can realize that or not realize that, because the subconscious choices are as powerful as the conscious choices. And it's always a choice point. You can change your mind at the last minute and come back into life and be full.
Mm.
I've done that several times. Past lives can connect to that. An example, I was born in 1954. My grandmother died at 54. And I knew I'd been my grandmother in a past life. 2 days
Really?
before, yeah, 2 days before I turned 54, I saw myself energetically fall to the ground, and I knew I was dead. And I was like,
Uh,
I'm not leaving my daughter, my grandkids, and I haven't completed what I came here to do. So I picked myself up, and the next thing I know, Spirit is putting things in my path that open it up to where I am still here. I ran across the herbalist. I'm not going to go into the whole story, but the herbalist told me, I told him, I said, I thought I had allergies. I was tired, all this kind of stuff. And he said, are you ready? You got a
mhm.
pen and paper? I said, yeah. He said, you got a virus in your heart. You have congestive heart failure. Fluid was backing up in my lungs. And I ended up getting the things I needed from him. I had hurt my hand, literally cut it on a fence going to feed horses. And the blood came up. And as soon as I did that, it just dried. There was nothing there, no other blood. And it was really thick. So my blood was thick as molasses. 3 weeks later, after taking all these herbs and stuff, somehow I nicked myself again. I guess that was Spirit saying, look here, and then look here again. And it ran blood red and just really fast. There was no stopping it. So when people think that congestive heart failure or any of those things are death sentence, it's just not true. Because that was at 54, and I'm now 68. When it comes to people that don't know that they've made those decisions to cross, if they're not strong in their faith or understanding that there is a creator, there is more than just this 3D physical life, they can come out of their body and not know where they're at. On the other hand, they have all kinds of family angels around them to collect them, to help them, to heal them. Which is a beautiful thing. And there's a period for that. There's a period for every bit of that. Did that answer the question? Or was that a bigger question? You're going to have to remind me what the question was, because I went on a big old story.
It's okay. This probably gets to the part where we were talking about loved ones being on the other side, and let me explain it. And I don't know if you want to elaborate on this, Crystal, because I start getting in my head and I'm like, um, where we see them, even as psychics, or how they're greeted. Not that and death is not, it's just more of like a, how can I say this, a rebirth or a transition, right? So we were talking about, I remember us talking about how sometimes they end up still on earthbound and then actually going there. Why do we think that some of them do stay here or stay earthbound and not actually get to going there? Some people have that question. What do you think, Crystal?
The most common thing that we've heard over the years is probably to hear earthbound spirits or spirits that have unfinished business.
Mhm.
Just something that they're still very much attached to, or maybe they feel on a soul level that they crossed before their time, which maybe is an opposite to suicide, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I've seen many earthbound spirits down here. I always take the time to help them get home. My perception of kind of how they get stuck is when it's time to cross, maybe they do see a light, but it's not the brightest light. Does that make sense? So if there are light workers down here that emanate a very bright field, they may just see something and go, oh, maybe that's it. But because they're unfinished, they go to that light instead of the big light, which is God. So that's just a theory that I have about earthbound spirits. I haven't met any particularly aggressive earthbound spirits. We see all these horror movies about poltergeists and things like that. I've only encountered that kind of thing once or twice. You don't see a whole lot of it. So I find that most earthbound spirits are genuinely trying to get home to the Creator, genuinely trying to get home to God. And when someone like Karla or Rae or myself comes along and can say and talk to them and not be afraid of it, and just say, it's time for you to go home, and you say your prayers, or however you manage it. For me, I say the prayers and I ask for the angels to come down and assist this being to get home. So there's no more getting stuck a second time. Like, let's make it obvious. Like the really clear exit ramp sign that says, hey, you're getting off here. So it's nice to see them transition home. I think it's a big help to the earth. And I think to people that don't understand what it is, it can be scary, but I'm going to say 99% of earthbound spirits are not aggressive, mean, or have any intent to harm you.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't had, like you say, an aggressive, I've had some interesting spirits. I had one that came through and it was her uncle, and I was like, my God, he's really handsome. I was like, but I it's so weird. And it was so funny because her husband's like, calm down, calm down.
That's hysterical.
But I see them just wanting to show up, let their family members know that they're there. Usually that's what it is. Yes, when it comes to the suicide aspect, I will see where some don't want to show what they did. I'll feel it, or they will and may see a needle up their arm, or not as far as suicide, but maybe somebody who had overdosed. I've seen a lot of those lately.
Mm-hmm.
On a subconscious level, though, I believe that is suicide.
Yeah, and I noticed that some of them were kind of surprised when they went over, or it was that last minute oh shit, this is not where I wanted to go. So there's that too, that they come in. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, and that's what we were talking about, the suicide cocoon that you mentioned, right, Grace?
Yeah, suicide, the reason why this is the topic today is I've recently been helping a friend mentally and emotionally and spiritually with dealing with a suicide in their family. And so I thought it was a very, even though it's sort of a hot button issue for a lot of people, our intent is again to bring peace to you through a different perspective. And so as someone who is intuitive, as someone who goes up to the other side per se and back on a daily basis, probably multiple times a day, depending on how much I'm meditating, suicide to me is a person who was overwhelmed. It's a person who bit off more than they can chew. It's a situation that needs to be met with ultimate compassion and mercy.
Right.
And if God looks down upon us as his children, he would love us and embrace us. He would want good for us, peace for us, calm for us, tranquility, balance. So he would look down on suicide and say, come home, let me hold you. That's the way I see this perspective of suicide. They go, from my direct experience and my own personal perspective, when someone commits suicide, they end up in the trauma cocoons on the other side with the angels. And those trauma cocoons look like a mother of pearl color. You know, it's white, but it's got inflections of all these colors in mother of pearl. It's kind of like tubes per se, that are a living light. Light is moving all the time, right? Think of an ocean wave. Light is moving. So it is a living light tube or cylinder that holds a person when they commit suicide. They are received with grace. They are received with honor and respect. I believe that the physical body, when at the time of the trauma, the time of the suicide, I believe that Archangel Raphael and that team of healing angels comes down and begins to remove the trauma out of the physical body so that it is a super easy transition to go to these trauma cocoons. The trauma cocoons that I've seen and that I've even tended to, I've been there to do some of the work alongside of the angels. Some of it was, most of it was observation, but some was participation on my part. And it's always my pleasure to do that, to help somebody who had such a rough go down here that they just needed to be home again. They just needed to be wrapped in that infinite, spectacular love that only God gives us. What's interesting to me is, Karla, you and I had been talking the other day a little bit about med beds, and looking at the picture of the med beds, it is not all that far different from what I've seen of what those trauma cocoons look like. The difference is a med bed is obviously a physical object here on planet Earth, whereas the trauma cocoons that I'm talking about are on the other side, are not physical. They are light. They are made of a moving, living light that looks like a mother of pearl or opalescent type colors that shimmer and move to hold a person after they've been through suicide. So I really hope that anybody who's experienced this in their personal life can take in this new perspective, can take in the perspective of someone who's actually been on the other side and seen the trauma cocoons and has worked with them and has an understanding that suicides are met with compassion, mercy, grace, kindness, and ultimate love. They are not stuck in purgatory. They are not stuck in hell. And I don't know who decided that it was a good idea to put that information out there, because it just creates even that idea of someone you love stuck somewhere. Does that sound like that comes from a loving, amazing God that we are born of? Not to me.
Not.
Not to me. So I'm hoping that my direct experience can bring you peace. And I would love to know what both of you think about that.
Go ahead, Rae.
I think you're on. It's a lot of those things are man-made to bring that fear into people. And it's about being able to breathe and understand that overwhelm, depression, all of those different things that connect and collect on a person doesn't have to be who they truly are. And on the other side, they really get the clarity of that.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
you know, if they get the help beforehand, they get the healing beforehand, it's not even an issue.
Right.
And if they don't, then it's taken care of on the other side. But it's
Yes.
not purgatory. It's not any of those things. Our God is a loving God.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
Karla?
Agreed. Man, you guys
This is a
have,
big issue. It's a big
Yeah.
one, and I think it touches more lives than we're maybe even aware of, because a lot of the statistics out there that we always hear about, you don't know where those numbers come from, who calculated them, but I really do think that it's been a big part of the world down here on Earth.
Yeah.
We're in a school. I mean, Earth is not an easy place to traverse. I mean, I lovingly call this place upside down land, because so many things to me just don't seem to make any sense whatsoever. I think people that are suffering with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, maybe self-loathing on the inside, one of the things they do is they just mask it with addiction. So, maybe it's being masked with drugs or alcohol. And I have no judgment on that. I mean, if that's the choice that you've made, I understand why you're making that choice, because you're trying to mask the pain. But because we're in upside down land, that's the dead opposite of what you should be doing. Because as you put alcohol or drugs into your body, you are opening doors to the shadow beings that are just waiting for someone to spend time with. And right before this video today, I had breakfast with a friend of mine who has cleaned up behind a suicide, has cleaned up the blood from a suicide. And she said to me, if this is what you folks are going to be talking about, she said, please put this out there that before you clean up behind a suicide, you need to put the armor of God on, because there may be entities or shadow beings that have influenced that person who is already in pain to go the
Absolutely.
step and do it. So you need to protect yourself from the entities that may be present at a suicide site. And so she wanted me to put that information out there. And so thank you, Jade, for sharing that with me so that I could share it with everybody who's watching. So, being we're in upside down land, I know you want to mask the pain if you're having problems. The best thing you can do is start talking. Don't drink. Talk.
Find your tribe. Find your tribe. As you were talking about the alcohol and everything, and people don't realize that it opens up your auric field. So if you're not paying attention, right, they've already taken over. And that type of energy likes to attach to you because of where you're at. So that's when they come in. It's a pretty hardcore thing. And then once you get to that level, this is when you start to hear those thoughts of suicide. I'm not worthy, this and that and all that. Realize that's them that's attached.
Absolutely.
To
I agree.
That's when it's a good time to be able to just psychically, energetically look at your energetic field. And then if anything is not yours, to kick it out. The other thing is if you don't know how to do that, you just put a prayer in Archangel Michael.
Yes.
Cut through all of that stuff.
Yep.
For
Call
people
his
that
name.
don't
He
have
will
a
be
clue.
there. Mhm.
Absolutely.
Well said, Rae. Well said.
It's like when people talk about cigarettes, they'll talk about, how bad it is for them and all those kinds of things, and then they ingest it. I'm like, if you're going to ingest something, you put a good prayer over it, you raise the vibration, so it raises the vibration of you. I don't care if it's cigarettes, alcohol, food, whatever you consume, you want to shift that energy, period.
Do you feel like when you do that, that'll kind of dissipate wanting to keep drinking or keep smoking pot or shooting up? Do you think that helps that?
I think it helps from having entities and stuff on you. You're just
Okay.
gonna, it comes down to the person make a conscious choice what they want in their life. You know, occasional glass of wine, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt anything. But when you're living to live in the bottle, or
I thought
you
somebody
know,
was,
before huh?
I thought somebody was knocking at my door. I think it's thunder.
Before I quit smoking at
Hmm.
age 40, I was 3 packs a day.
Wow.
Wow.
But when I made that conscious choice, it was stress. It was all the things. So it was 39 when I quit. It was all those things that I had wanted to hold down.
Hmm.
Didn't even realize they were a thing. So that's the subconscious. Clearly, in boxes, you know, trauma goes into boxes and it sits all around you. Some people call it conscious. I call it some people call it subconscious. I like to call it superconscious because it remembers everything. And the
Right.
more that those pieces get cleared out, it's just like clearing my grandmother's energy off of me after I realized that that was a piece that came through from a past life. The more you clear those energies off, then and bring your energies back into you, then the stronger the light is within you. And it allows you to have a fuller, happier existence, more understanding that you're the one in the creative mode, not having to wait on that creative mode. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if you're in a position where you're having those negative thoughts, 2 words, Archangel Michael, divine intervention, God help me. I mean, there are things that you can say in that moment that will directly combat those negative thoughts in your head. And suicide's a very difficult subject matter to talk about. I
Yeah.
appreciate both of you for being willing to go down the road of talking about this. I have not lost anybody to suicide. I've helped 3 friends through it. I did lose a friend to murder. And there is a similarity to me in the sense that there is shock.
Yeah.
Shock is a huge emotion to unpack when you're talking about something that is extreme like this. And so be gentle with yourself because there's no perfect order in which you're supposed to feel things. You don't know what you're going to feel. You know, my friend who was murdered, obviously I felt that immediately, but actually the worst of that sorrow and grief hit me 11 years later.
And that's
It
how
can
it
work that way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it comes about. So I'm, you know, our intent with this subject matter is to just bring that fresh perspective, bring you peace, help you to understand that if you're going through something like that, be very gentle with yourself. Don't have any expectations of what you're supposed to feel, how long you're supposed to feel it, how intense should it be, when am I supposed to get over it? Don't do that to yourself. Just don't, because it's going to
And don't
take.
let anybody else do it to you.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I mean, get into counseling, get into, you know, somewhere where you can talk. If it's your best friend, just somebody you can talk to. You need to move it out of your body. You have to move it. You just move the pieces, move the energy, and know that it'll come in waves, you know. But I really want to address that energy and the emotion of shock, because it's not one that everybody knows what to do with. I mean, it's kind of like, oh, you know, it just hits you.
When some people literally just go numb.
Yeah,
You know, they
true.
go and
Or
one of the
angry, who knows?
I've heard, and even just with depression, is you move your body. whether it's going for a walk, 20 minutes a day, whatever it is, move your body, you know, it's like clearing that energy, move your body.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a tough thing. And I do see when people do pass over from suicide, there is a regret. You know, there's some of that energy still sitting there as a regret to the family, and that's why they come through. And a lot of the times it's them apologizing,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
and to feel guilty about what they had done because it didn't, because, you know, a lot of people hold guilt, like, what could I have done? I didn't do enough, X, Y, and Z. And that's when they kind of just shut down and say, it wasn't your fault. This is, you know,
well, and if you're somebody who is cleaning up behind a suicide, that is not a dirty job. That is a blessed job.
Mhm.
How many cultures and how many traditions all over the world you wash the body of those who have crossed? It's the same thing. If you are cleaning up the blood or something else, it is your honor to bless that person, and you're acknowledging their life, you're acknowledging their physical body, you're acknowledging them by doing a cleanup.
Yeah.
So it is absolutely a blessed job, and bless you for taking it on to do that. And
Mhm.
if you're going through this, my heart goes out to you. It is extremely difficult to manage the multitudes of emotions that come with managing the distress and the trauma and all that goes with losing someone to suicide. And I'm sorry if this is the road you're walking,
Yeah.
and we send our hearts to you.
Yeah. Blessings.
Absolutely. You know, another thing is talking about the cleanup. It can also be an energetic cleanup
Yes,
that's going to benefit to happen as well
it
as the
is.
physical. And even
Yep.
in the physical cleanup, you want to do that energetic clearing up of that energy also. But the threads between the people, between the person that has crossed and the people that are connected to them,
Right.
to help lighten the load of the grief,
It does.
to alleviate it, to lighten it, brighten it, so they have room to breathe
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
to release those emotions. Because I've had people cross and literally felt their what do you call it? Felt their review of their life, the parts that I was connected in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the more that can be shifted and lifted up, the smoother the healing happens.
Yeah. That transition,
Mhm.
the transition. Um, Now we have, you know, a few more minutes, plenty of time. Do we want to go on to also the aspect of, we talked about children or missing a child or, you know, having a miscarriage, things like that, how that works. I have not personally had one. Um, I've seen another child on the other side and I knew who they were. But if you want to, guys, I don't know, Ray yourself, Gracie, you want to talk about that?
Tracy, you want to start it, or you want me to?
I've miscarried too. Um, and it's been a very interesting experience. Uh, it came with, again, a multitude of emotions. I think the very human thing that you do when you miscarry is you blame yourself. You wonder what's wrong with you. That's kind of where your thoughts first go. But what I've really come to understand is, all right, let's say that you're out in the wilderness somewhere and there's this beautiful, pool of water in front of you. There's some personality types that'll dive right in. There are other personality types that stick a toe in and feel the temperature of the water before they just jump in.
Yeah.
And I kind of think of that analogy as the same with miscarriage, that these souls have not yet decided if they want to have a full-on human experience. So they're sticking a toe in the water. They're coming down to experience a bit of the
Energy.
water pool. Yeah. They're trying to experience through you, right? So having their energy around you while you're pregnant, that energy of that soul that's going to be potentially coming into the body at the delivery moment. So they're trying to figure out through you. They can read your thoughts. They can read your mind. They can feel your spirit. They're feeling everything through you. Mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. They're feeling everything through you. And so this is their way of sticking their toe in the water without jumping in. So if they don't come all the way through, meaning they miscarry, there's no shame or blame in that. Again, this is sort of a gift. You're giving them an opportunity to stick a toe in the water. What a nice thing for you to do. Thank you for giving that experience to someone who is not entirely sure if they should come all the way through. So I think we got to get out of these ideas, these really antiquated, stuck, possibly religious rooted ideas about miscarriage. And, I just don't see any of that, after the second miscarriage. I think my first one was maybe like two weeks in or something, because I don't distinctly remember a whole lot around it. The second time was very clear. So in talking with my daughter as an intuitive, talking with her after she left and went back, she was just grateful for the chance, the chance to meet me, the chance to feel through me, the chance to be here, the chance to see Earth through my literal physical eyes. There was a lot of gratitude that I received from her, and having that conversation obviously brought me a tremendous amount of peace. Please add in here. Somebody else jump it.
Experiences. I've never experienced a miscarriage. I have worked with people that have had miscarriages. I've had people that, and that every bit is the soul deciding, well, that's as much as they wanted this time around, and they left. There can be twins, and one of the twins decides they don't want to. They can either be absorbed back into the mother or back into their other twin because they maybe don't want to leave them, but they don't want to experience the whole thing. Or sometimes they just literally go on out of the body. But it's always that choice point. They're deciding, do I stay? Do I go? It's the soul, it's the spirit. And they always know. They always know.
I agree. I had a situation. Did you want to continue? I'm not trying to cut you off or anything.
No, actually, you gave me a second to reflect on something else too. So when it comes to that spirit, that doesn't always mean that if they let go of their body, doesn't always mean that they left the other twin. So those parts to be healed, to release and let go of, to know that they're going to be connected again. They're always connected. We're always connected through the threads of life.
Yeah.
It's taking that deep breath, doing the energy work around it to where they can release in peace if they haven't completely gone.
Yeah. I had an incident in a reading actually where there was a lady had triplets, but she lost one. So this other particular, and they were all boys, and this one was, way he brought it to me is that there was one particular brother that he wanted to help. He knew that he would do better on the other side, helping his brother than coming through. So there was something where he said, you know what, I'm going to stay back. I'm going to go ahead and let you have it, So it was very interesting, obviously the mom mourned about it, but that's when I explained to her, his job is over here watching over all you guys. That's what he wants to do. So that was a choice.
Which means that literally he stayed with them. Yeah.
Yes. Like you were saying, exactly that. Exactly that. And I find, and it's interesting they show up at a certain way, but it's like they grow with the other siblings. It's really interesting. They'll briefly show me who they were in what order they were, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, I'm growing up with them. So just let them know I'm still here. Don't even worry about it, you know? Um, so I think a lot of the mourning is because we didn't get to see them or get to stay with them on the physical plane, but we will meet them again on the other side. We will. We will. Um, okay. We also had a subject about animals because there are people who do you, Crystal yourself, Grace yourself, you deal with animal energy as you do Rae as well. So we can get into that as also. People ask about that, whether it's pets or just animal medicine. Who would like
Well,
to?
with animal medicine, I started probably 20 years ago. I think I was 20, yeah, well, maybe 22. I was 24 when I really started getting into animal medicine. I started with Ted Andrews. Everybody
I did too.
probably knows about Ted Andrews. I love Ted Andrews.
And I'm always late when getting it, so I just kind of catch up with it.
Yeah. he's just he really nailed it. That's all I can say is book after book. I was continually impressed. He had a card deck that he had with one of his books, and I kind of started with the card deck and the books and just seeing what animals were showing up all the time in my readings. And then the more I studied animal medicine, the teachings of animals, they start showing up everywhere in person, in my dreams. I see them around people. I mean, it's just shows up in different ways, shapes, and forms. So, animal medicine it's very powerful. You have some animals, your totem animals that go with you through your entire lifetime. And then you have messenger animals that show up to just help you get through a certain situation in the now moment.
Yeah.
So that is something I've worked with quite a bit. It's a big part of who I am, both energetically, philosophically, and in my healing work, trying to bring forth clarity for people in whatever situation they're in. The animals often show up and say, hey, here's the message, and here's what I'm trying to work with this person on. As far as animals in physical form, one of the things Rae and I were talking about earlier was what happens when she sees roadkill. So I'm going to turn that over to her.
Go, Rae.
There we go. So yeah, when I first started, dowsing was one of the avenues that brought me through that, doing energy work, Reiki attunements. There's a lot more to that. But anyway, when it came to animals, roadkill, all these animals that had been killed on the road, sometimes I'd check in to see if their spirit was still there with their body, if they'd gone into the blacktop, if they were beside their body, or if they had already gone on. And if they hadn't gone on, then I would assist them. And most generally, all the animals would, well, they were one of two things. They were either there or they weren't. And when it came to helping them, all the animals went to the light, except for one dog that had been killed. And I'm not going to go into how it had been killed, but it had been killed. And when I pulled him back together and was going to take him to the light, he refused. He went back with his human. And it's like, okay, because everybody's past different, right? Do I tell the deer story or not?
Whatever you like.
I was going to work one day a long time ago, and I was on the interstate, and there was this animal that was just all over the road. There was nothing but little pieces. And I energetically checked to see if it was still there, and it was, and I pulled it back. And as I did, it formed into this beautiful deer. And as I took it up to the light, I swear that deer turned around, looked at me, and smiled and gave me a nod. It was beautiful. It's one of those moments you do not forget. Has there ever been a repeat? No, but I don't need one.
Well done.
Absolutely. Animals are beautiful.
Yeah.
I've even gone through and cleared roads, just roads and roads and roads full of animals. I haven't even caught that in a long time, but yeah. When I came to the desert, there weren't any animals in the road. It was too hot.
Yeah, it's too hot.
So, yeah, I haven't done as much work with animals in the recent past.
Hmm. Who knows? That might be a thing you might want to start to do again, maybe. I don't know. Oh,
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
yeah. Yeah. What about you, Crystal?
I just work with animal medicine when it shows up. And
Yeah.
I mean, it shows up all the time for me in different ways. And I always just bring the messages forth.
Yeah. Mine's been pretty recent, and I didn't really understand it at first when I kept seeing them. And
Yeah.
again, someone said to me, well, if you keep seeing animals, maybe you should start really looking them up. And I said, okay. And that's when I started with that book. And it's just been profound because sometimes, like right now, I'll get, what did I just get? I got a vulture as we were
Oh,
talking. So I don't know what that means. And I have to go to my little book, you know. But
Utilize everything, honey. You
Yep.
utilize everything.
what was that?
You utilize everything.
Yeah.
Buzzard utilizes everything.
Oh, okay.
well, it's interesting that you bring up vulture because we've been talking about suicide. So vultures are one of the few creatures, they actually urinate on their own feet to sanitize them after they have pulled apart a carcass.
Really? Okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
So
look.
here they are literally protecting themselves after they've just pulled apart a carcass. And what did we just talk about? The armor of God being placed upon you if you're cleaning up behind a suicide. And you're bringing up vulture medicine, it's very much on point.
Well, this is what's interesting. So in this book, there's actually two. There's a black vulture
Mhm.
that talks about fulfillment, and it says time of transformation. That's it. Will
I can't
ultimately-
hear you.
Your sound went, babe.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the black vulture, and it's talking about fulfillment. And it said the time of transformation is approaching. Do not resist it. It will ultimately be your benefit in spite of contrary appearances. The other one, now we'll just do vulture black because they have a vulture turkey. So this one's the black vulture. So it's talking about fulfillment.
Mhm.
So it's interesting.
You know, we're talking about Rae praying over the roadkill and making those beings whole so they can go back to the creator. So there's your fulfillment.
There you go.
Mhm.
There you go. So
And
again,
vultures sun their
Huh?
wings also.
Mhm.
Vultures will also sun their wings to clear the energy off of them.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, that's what I learned from you guys. So I learned from you. Oh, gosh, this, this has been a blessing coming into this new world and meeting the souls coming back to meet each other again.
Mhm.
There's two interesting stories, and I'll just because now we're just kind of off subject. But when I first met Rae, we both were working at the same place, and when I met her, I thought, oh my God, I don't think she likes me. and then,
Oh, that was funny.
and then come to find out, she was during doing a clearing, and she said, "Oh, I just got a funny little vision," and she just giggled. She goes, "You were my daughter in my past life," and I was like, "Oh snap!" And then
Yeah.
with Crystal, it was Greece, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
you
were
felt
sisters.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so this is interesting how this is all kind of coming together. So yeah, and that's just a funny little story. But yeah, does anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
I just think it's interesting what you said about new circles of energy being formed where we're meeting each other again, new members of our tribe. And I think it's interesting the timing as we just passed that, what was that blue moon. Remember that astrological configuration just at the end of August there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think there's something to that the cycles are it's just another cycle, right? It's always cycles within cycles, but seeing a blue moon is a very big aspect because it's kind of rare. And for those of us that are plugged in, those of us that are aware, those cycles are not lost on us. They benefit us, and they draw us to things that are heart healing, things that create the next level of expansion for us. And this expansion happens through conversation. So, you know, for me, I love being able to share time with people and expand my consciousness and my awareness based on what your experiences are. That helps me to grow. And if we can help our audience in some capacity with that as well, you know, we're meeting our goals. So I that's the biggest thing on my mind is to say, yeah, you're right. We're now coming in towards each other where we need to be. You know, we're meeting new family members, and it's a time where we support each other. That is the new energy that I talked about in the last video of light coming into the planet, and just you know, the new energy is absolutely, it's God, it's love, it's mercy, it's compassion, it's all things good. And if you've got that old mindset of stepping on others and whatever else goes along with that, narcissism, whatever it is, you're not going to have very much fun in this next arena. Because it's all going to shake loose.
No space for that.
Ah,
No space for that.
nah, none.
Just good.
Yeah, just
Absolutely.
good. So do we have any last words about anything we'd like to put out there? And also, because we do what we do, I don't know if any of you want to, you know, people want to contact you guys.
You can reach me through Karla.
All right. Okay.
You can reach me through Karla, because she's going to put a link down at the bottom with the email address.
Okay.
The
So we'll talk.
the goal here for me is to help people smoothly move into the next phases of their life.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be heavy. You just have to have the tools, the understanding. Nobody got left out in being psychic or any of those things. They got talked out of it.
And
it's about
that's
bringing yourself back into your full self.
And that's where we'll go with the next one, is talking about abilities that people, or they don't think they have, and it's only for people that are special or gifted, and that's not true. That we all have it. So we're going to go into that whole psychic, clairvoyant, whatever the clairs are, and all of those, and we're going to go into all of those. So I think that would be a great subject, especially for people who are starting to awaken and they're going, I felt something, or I saw somebody, or X, Y, and Z. So this is going to be a good subject.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
well, ladies, it's been a pleasure.
It has. Thank you so much. Yes.
It's been fun. We put some blessings out there for everybody, and having a wonderful week and all of that good stuff. So
yeah, I guess the one thing I will add here is, as the three of us join our hearts together, we send our hearts collectively out to you, especially if you're going through sorrow, depression, anxiety, you've lost someone to suicide, or if you've been through miscarriage. We do send our hearts out to you.
yes.
And I will light some prayer candles as soon as we close out of the video here. I'll do that for everybody. Anybody who stands in need, we send you our love.
Awesome. And I just got somebody who texted me whose friend just had a miscarriage. I don't know her name, but again, sending prayers out to her.
I'm going to play a bowl for just a second, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
The ancestor bowl. Blessings.
Blessings.
Yes, take care. Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.